Hey, how's it going, you guys? This is Tay Riss. The last should be first helping hand or got speakers. Man, have no fear. The series. So we got shirts now for that. This is Alexandria Frisquez shirt. She came on, and she was my first one, and I'm going to label them with the series numbers. So we have Nettie who came on as well. We have Paul W came on as well with the Bliss. So it was awesome to have him on. You guys, so each person I interview is we got Have No Fear the series, and all the musical artists on here. I just plan on doing something with that, so that's going to be super awesome eventually. But you guys, but we just got to keep continue to have no fear in what we do, and I continue to project and go into the calling that we have. And so this is why I love this series myself, is so we can continue to do that, and we can continue not only that, but remember this statement that I think is really awesome, and that is that you are amazing. And the reason for it, because each and every person is amazing, and no matter what we do in life, we have a choice that we can continue to keep moving or not. And so I just think that's awesome, to continuing to be us in the way that we were projected, the way that we were called to be, and the calling that we have, and the calling that we're called to do, and the thing that we want to do in life. And it may not always be what we're called to do. So when we're in that, we can continue to move forward. And with that being said, we got Brandiwyne coming on. Hey, how's it going?
Hey Tay, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, so tell me, so what prompts you to do music, and what exactly does your average week look like when it comes to maybe performing or practicing?
That's a great question. What got me into music was actually wanting to share stories and experiences of things that I went through, especially once I found out other people were having similar experiences and might have been having a tougher time than I was. My first exposure to it, of course, being, going to church meetings and singing there, and it progressed. But typical week, ooh, that would depend if I'm in studio or if I've finished whatever it was I was working on. Um, I sing under Brandiwyne, obviously, but then also with a local group called Jet City. So we get together once a week and have at least 3 to 4 hours of practice every Monday night. So that's always set. As a vocalist, I have to take care of my voice, so I have voice lessons once a week for a couple hours to make sure that that's still staying where it needs to be. And every day I have at least an hour's worth of warm ups, rehearsals, and then separate working on my piano, my guitar skills, some songwriting. If there's studio work to be done, then that's kind of pushed in wherever we can find time, or when I've been working recently with Iron Grove Studios with an amazing producer named Tyler Mays, and he's been really nice about trying to work around my schedule and get things fit in. But yeah, it can be kind of hectic. Music takes a lot of time for what you produce.
That's awesome. So what does that look like when you're in the studio? Do you have warm ups? You do? Do you have routines? Maybe do you eat certain things in order to keep up with your music?
So if I'm in studio, I definitely avoid dairy or high amounts of sugar a couple days beforehand and during. Warm-ups are typically before I get there, because once I arrive, they want to just kind of start and be sure, we using the most, making the most of our time. There's a vocal booth, so we set up in there, and then we'll do multiple runs of songs to try and get our best cuts or our best takes that we can use. And then there's a lot of, obviously, the mixing and the mastering and listening to the playbacks and going, oh, I don't like that instrument there. Let's, lower the volume, or let's move it over here. So it's a really complex process, but it's actually a lot of fun to watch. Um, If I had to guess, I would say an average song in studio to record and to mix is about 60 hours. So it's quite a process.
Nice. Yeah, I know sometimes it takes longer. I know I've recorded a song with CCM recordings before, so that's yeah, it takes sometimes a long time, especially with ideas that we want, things that we want to do. So I know that that takes a long time. So but you guys, just wanted to remind you, go support her. I mean, you guys, there are so many ways. But she's going to comment down below as well after this, and what about where you can do that, you guys. I've done that. I've bought all her stuff off iTunes. That's where I listen to most of my music, and I want to, I want to be able to also make the CDs when I need to, so I can listen to it maybe while I'm cleaning instead of always being on my phone, because I know I do business on my phone all the time. So it's very difficult for me to get away from it if I don't. So that's kind of why I do that, but also to support artists. And so the other things I have for you, question wise, someone wanted me to ask you actually, because I was telling them about this interview, and they wanted me to ask you. Uh, what drives you to collab with different artists, and how did you get in on your band, and how did you decide that they were the correct members to be right along with you? Because for an example, Evanescence band, who is from my hometown, everyone says for them, it's no secret that their very first album, where Mara Mortal was on there, was okay and was even better. But now, because of problems and stuff that most people know about in the rock world, they're no longer in that band. So, what makes you have different artists collab with you, or different people, and what made you have that band as well, and choose the members that you have?
Um, so that's a great question. When it comes to collabs with music, you always have to have a base understanding first of what's expected, who's going to do what, when, time commitments. And it's not always perfect. I've had a couple where we started the project, we got about halfway through, and we had to actually end the collab because personalities were not meshing. And that's a common problem. So with my band, that was a very important thing that we looked for. I wanted to make sure that not only did they have the talent, but that they had the right personalities for me to be around. Especially, being a Christian myself, I don't want to be around negative influences, as well as um, having them have the drive and to do the proper venues, and really have the commitment to move forward, but maybe also not being so uptight that it wasn't fun anymore.
Okay, makes sense. So also, I noticed too, and one of the things that I really love is what this supported, but is the Hallelujah song.
Um,
It's actually one of my favorite versions ever, in as far as for a woman who's singing it,
yeah,
and I just think it's just the way it's done and the way it's played is so different than most, especially with the piano and things. And so, if you would talk about that and what that supports and what that looks like.
yeah. So we actually brought that project around to benefit children's hospitals. So all of the sales from that went directly to children's hospitals to help support them for their holiday drive. Um, I just have always really liked the song. It's a very beautiful song given the context of what it's talking about. And we just, myself and Tyler, wanted to try and make it more modern sounding, so that maybe it would appeal to a newer generation. So we really tried to focus on a more rock pop vibe to it, as well as adding more of a bass line and things that you wouldn't find in the original version, even though I absolutely adore the original version. But um, yeah, we had a lot of fun playing with harmonies. And again, it was trial and error. We did some things and we were like, didn't really sound right. Let's try it this way. Let's try it that way. Um, but at the end of the day, you end up with anywhere between like 25 and 50 lines of music that you kind of have to mesh together. So again, it is a process, but it's a lot of fun, and that kind of gave a little nod to the whole spiritual side of things too, which I really liked as well. So
That's awesome. So, do you have any questions that you want to ask me? Things you want to know?
I know you have this podcast going, which is amazing. But you have had a ton of artists on here. Do you have any ideas on what you see happening in the future with this? Like, are you thinking of doing a performance of some kind, or what
So,
are your ideas?
yeah, so I actually plan on eventually down the line, I, as I say, each artist, bear with me. I plan on having this huge festival and having the artists come out, so I'm supporting them, figuring out where the best state, where the best venue is, where the best collaborations I can do with as well. And I'm going to be eventually raising money for it, and it's going to be going towards bullying, and it's going to be going towards save a life. So, and what that looks like, it could be after pandemic's over or not, but it's going to be either the midst of it transitioning probably. Is what my thoughts are if I can get it together. But whenever the timing's right, I'm going to do it, and it's going to talk about to save. So the theme is to save a life, and what that means is what can we do to help you move forward in the things that you have. And these artists are out here just giving it their all, and goes and they're trying to make it themselves, where they've already made it big or not, and to continue to make it. And so, as we look at this and look at these artists, they started somewhere. They get to share their story as well. And then not only that, but how did they get saved into what they did and how they get called? So not only did they get to go back and look at these YouTubes, but they also get to go back and they get to show up and get autographs and get to, hey, oh man, I just remember that one. Oh, I just remember doing this and that, so that you guys get an opportunity, because it's not about me. I saw DJ, I may sing, but in my pop punk band that's coming, but that doesn't matter, because it's not about me. It's never about me, and it's always about others and seeking others first. I could care less if I make it big or not, even though I declare and believe I will. It's just just like you, but it's the thing of getting people to where they can understand that life's too short to not be in their calling. And so that's what my goal is to just have festivals and to bring in artists and to just have like a whole like club atmosphere EDM at the end. So after party, and then in the beginning doing the band takes. You get to bring your band in, and then you get to do solo stuff as well. Afterwards with more acoustic, and then go right after that, because it'll be dark. Go right into the festival with the whole dancing and things. So it's gonna be awesome. That's more to come, you guys. And so just trying to figure out again the right place, the right timing, because unfortunately, as Brandy and I know, music's expensive.
Yeah,
So you have to have your ducks in a row, and tickets plan on being like a winter jam or winter fest. You guys, we'll have backstage passes as well. So those will be expensive because there's going to be tons and tons and tons of artists. So I will have my security, and so each shirt I wear, including this one here, has security on the back. So I do that on purpose, so that way the artist, if they wear it or not, whatever, it doesn't matter. They know, hey, I can do that. I can get backstage, different things.
I've got an
So
idea for you.
yeah, all
What
right.
if your followers, if they wanted to be on stage with their favorite artist, you should do some kind of a drawing or a contest so that they could do that. They could actually meet and be up on stage when they perform. Maybe if they're a decent singer, even sing with them.
Yeah. So
Man,
I actually plan on doing that. So that's part of. I have these backstage passes that I actually am making, and they're very, 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 very hard to authenticate. Kind of like the $20 bill or the 100.
mhm.
And they claim they're even as rare to authenticate, or even harder as like the $1,000 bill, because you don't really see that too much. And so that's more of a government thing. So they're really working really hard on making that. So I don't have them at the moment,
Okay.
because I'm, of course, spending a bunch of money on trying to get that done. But it's going to be awesome. And we'll have some just makeup ones that they'll have to get during the concert as well. But yeah, so plan on doing a contest for that. And then also just plan on also supporting each artist. I have this card that I use with NFC technology, and you just scan it on your phone. And so it's super awesome. And the series will be on there once get 10. It'll collab and then we'll go to series 2. So, and then those series ones will be the headliners, and I may bring in, let's say, Toby Mac. I may bring in. I'm not sure what A-list artist I'm going to bring in, but then you guys will come, down like that. Unless you guys are an A-list artist, so it'll be cool. I just want to give you guys the opportunity to move
There's
forward in
talks
life.
in the works, so maybe depending on how long it takes.
Yeah. So, it's the way I look at it is we all have a dream inside the dream. And so when we have the dream inside the dream, we have to continue to look for it. So what does that look like for you to have your dream inside your dream when you're writing and making your lyrics?
Oh, wow. Well, for me, the dream really is just getting the music out there and getting it heard. And, if you can really help one person, then it makes it worth it. Having someone come up to you and say, "Hey, I really needed this during this difficult time and it got me through it." That's the best feeling in the world. And, as artists, like you said, it's an expensive profession. We will always put much more into it than we will ever get back from that aspect. But that's not why you do it. You do it just because you love it and you find any time or any space that you can and you run with it.
Yeah, that's awesome because we were made to be. We were who we made to be, and that's a quote from Nettie, and she was on here. And you guys, it's just super awesome to just to have the artist. And so some of the other questions that I have for you is what does it look like when someone comes up to you and they're like, "Hey, can I get an autograph?" Or what would that look like? Because I know there are a lot of people who are like, "Oh my goodness, there's Pierre from Simple Plan," and they like freak out, and you're like, "But it's just an artist. I mean, they're people. So what does that look like for you? Not everyone understands that.
You know what? I still get a little taken back. It's only happened a handful of times, but I have had random people when I'm out. They'll take out their phone and be like, "Wait, this is you, isn't it? I listen to your music," and it's a great feeling. But you're really humbled by it as well, because the fact that someone actually is enjoying what you're trying to do. So you try to just be as kind as possible. If they want an autograph, I mean, I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna tell them, at this point, it's not gonna be worth a whole ton, but it's just you can't do what you do without the people who support you. So it's really important to always be gracious and always thank them for that.
It's awesome. So I know you just came out with a new album. And so what does that look like? What inspired you to create what you created? And what are maybe some of the surprises or goodies that you would like to drop or say or allowed to? And also, what's what's inspired the album cover?
Um, so the album itself was my first attempt at meshing both originals and my personal take on a couple of covers. So it is a mix of music. The idea behind it was I recently went through a divorce, and it was a very trying time for me. And there's a large range of emotions that I don't think people really understand happens. I mean, you have obviously the hurt or the anger or whatever from the initial breakup, but then also the remorse and the sorrow that goes along with it, and it's the second guessing, and then finally just the acceptance and the moving on. So that's kind of what the CD was meant to represent, were those different phases. And I was really blessed that an amazing singer, his name is Michael Cagle. He was a featured artist on the album's titled song "Underneath It All." It was a duet version, and he brought a whole another level of expertise and artistry to that CD. And I'm extremely honored. He's sang on the same stage as people like Celine Dion. He had his own show in Vegas for years, and yeah, I was just really humbled to be able to do that. The artwork itself is a nod towards having a hidden personality. So it has the girl on the front with the general facade of, what you think. But then if you look at the reflection in the water, you can see the hidden personality, which in that case for her was an alternate persona with a mermaid. So, and that's also something that for me, it's kind of a quirky little thing that I like to do. So it was a fun way to incorporate that with the CD as well. All of my music videos or releases that I do, I've made it actually a fun little game that I try to hide either the symbolism towards mermaiding or an actual figurine or something in there so that my fans go through and are always trying to figure out where it is or where it's hidden. So that's always a fun little side game for anyone who didn't know.
Nice. Well, you guys, we all know that Disney has Easter eggs and Disney has ways that go towards their next movie or a hint towards something or an idea. So Brandy has the same thing. So when you look for music videos, check it out. And I'd love for you guys to come back on this podcast and this YouTube channel and comment down below if you find it and what that looks like. Don't give it away, but say, hey, I found it. And it'd be awesome. That way other people can do it, and it's awesome. So that's awesome that you do that. That's awesome. Also, the other thing, I just got a message in from somebody, and they want me to ask you this. What does it look like when someone goes backstage with you and you are doing an acoustic set strictly for the people who are backstage?
Oh goodness. The acoustic sets are always going to be more intimate to begin with. So they're a little more nerve-wracking. But yeah, with the backstage thing, we try to send up a small chair off to the side where they can get a really good view. And depending on the song, sometimes we'll serenade them just to make it a little more special. But the whole feel of the acoustic set are always much more intimate, much more I don't know, you get a different feel for the songs when you perform them in that way, which is a great thing, and it shows you a whole new side to the music, and people tend to listen more to the lyrics when you do that as well, which can make it the more touching.
Okay, it's awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. So, some of the other things, are you gonna have remixes to your songs? So that was something that someone else wanted me to ask you. So actually, what I did, you guys, is I sat at a table with some people and told them I was having this interview, and I asked them what are some questions that you guys want me to ask Brandy, and and so they gave me some, and they were just wondering, are you ever gonna have remixes to your songs?
Possibly. I mean, remixes are typically done by other entities. If they want to make them into dance mixes or whatever, I would say if someone wanted to do that, I would be 100% on board with it. Because again, music is about enjoying and having fun, and if I can even contribute to that, then I'm happy to. So I would be perfectly fine. That would be actually very flattering.
Cool. Awesome. So the other thing is too, what does that look like owning your own music? So do you plan on for an example, Nettie's with an artist, but she owns her own or with a label and an
Mhm.
artist, and she owns her own music. Do you plan on doing that, or are there some songs that you won't, depending on how big it is, and also when the contracts come in play, what do you look for? Because some artists they do get screwed over, unfortunately, and they have to get into it until the contract's over, and then they can do their thing. Like they may not be country artists, they may want to do Christian music, or they may want to do pop, and they have to do country in the meantime. And the other question they wanted me to ask you along with that is, if you were to be in a union, I don't know if you are, but if you were to, what does that look like? And how do you decide? How would you, if you're not in one, decide or are to go about to be in one or not be in one?
Well, I'll start with the union one since that's the biggest thing. The two largest ones are BMI and ASCAP. I am in ASCAP, and when it came
Cool.
down to it, it had to do with royalty collections as well as for me personally how easy it was to be able to record and to track the songs. BMI was a little bit more difficult to work with. They have a 2 to 5 year period that you can sign up for. You do have to pay a fee for that because they're providing you a service by keeping track of all of your stuff and making sure things are used properly and that you get your royalties. So there is that. It's not hard. You go on their website, you fill out the general information. Again, listing the songs independently every time they come out, that can be a little tedious. With songwriters, some of the stuff that I've done is 100% my own. And then there are a few songs that I've collabed with songwriters on. One of the first ones, Greg Critchley actually was the writer for Return to Sender. And then it had, which was funny because it had a completely different feel to it when he initially wrote it. It was like a synth pop song, but the bones were there. And so between working with him and working with Tyler and myself, we were able to turn it into what it currently is. But yeah, so I will work with some songwriters. As far as having my own label, I don't think that's something I ever want to do. There's a very special type of person that it takes to be able to not only record and release and distribute the music, but also to find other artists to bring in and see that talent and kind of mold them in the direction they need to go. And I love music. I love performing, but I'm not the best at kind of nudging people to do things that they may not want to do. So I think that side of it, I would prefer to, at least for now, to avoid and just concentrate on my music and possible tours that are going to be coming up, and just focus on that side of things.
Nice. So, also, how would they get a hold of you if they wanted to maybe have you come down and play at a show or play at a venue, or even collab with you? How would that go?
So people can reach out to me through my website, which is brandywineproductions.com. Or I believe I have a Facebook account with contact as well, which is just under my name, Brandy Huang. It's a public account, so anyone can access it and message me that way. I deliberately did not create the quote unquote band account because then people can't reach out. And I thought that kind of isolates you from your fans and your followers, and I didn't really want that. Or you can just come to one of our shows if you're here in state in Washington, and we're going to be playing at a huge festival, the Meeker Festival out in Puyallup in June. I believe it's June 17th through 19th. We haven't been assigned our time slot yet, but so the other band that I'm with, Jet City, if they wanted to come out and see who I am and how I perform that way, they could always talk to me there too. So I'll never turn someone away if they want to say hi. I'm always up for collabing and making contacts and friends. So
Awesome. So some of the other questions that they had were, what does it look like when something goes wrong? So for you, what would you do? So like for an example, if there's a festival and something were to happen, God forbid, I had to declare and believe it won't, but what would that look like for you and or even in the band aspect as well? Because things go wrong we hear about it all the time. So what does it look like, and what would you do in that situation? Or show up and they're like, "Oh, you're not playing," and you're like, "What?" Like,
yeah, you know what? Live music, if it can go wrong, it will. That's just a given mantra. You accept that and you learn to roll with it. When something does go wrong, you have one of two options. You pretend it didn't happen if it's something that you think is coverable, and you just keep going, which is obviously the preferred method. Or you just laugh because that's all you can do.
yeah.
My band and I, if something, a gig a while ago, our guitarist suddenly had a string snap, so he started playing with one string, avoiding the one string. Then another one went, then another one, all in the duration of that one song. And so it just became a joke, where he was like, and this is how you know a really skilled guitarist, you can play with only two strings. So yeah, you have to laugh it off. You're there to have fun.
That's cool.
And as far as the misbookings, that has only happened once that I've for myself. Honestly, I just had a drink and I watched the other people perform. So I was like, I already had that time set out to be there. And I love music in general. So it was like, okay, well, these things happen. I guess I'm going to have a drink and I'm just going to support the venue and
Mm,
support the other performers.
it's awesome. The other thing is, do you ever do open jam nights? Do you ever go to those?
I have. There were some places in downtown Seattle that used to host them. And it's a lot of fun because you meet a lot of new artists and you get to try out some new styles. Um, and my band currently is helping out with one that's up north in Monroe, where we'll perform for like an hour. And then if someone wants to do music, we'll either help them out or we provide the equipment or you jump on stage. It's a great way to network and to make new friends. And in music, you need all of the friends you can have because it is something that takes a lot of time and can be stressful. So it's good to have people around you that understand and can support you.
It's awesome. Also, I know that you've been some judges and some things. So talk about what does that look like? Which ones have you been involved in, and how did that go for you?
Yeah, I got to judge a few different competitions, mostly karaoke ones. There was an online set that I did with EQC, and that was great. A little nerve wracking. I helped with the judging for a Netflix show that they did where it was a singing competition style thing. You had to, it was their own series. I'm unfortunately blanking on the name of it right now. Um, but I actually knew someone who was in it inadvertently. I didn't know he was in it at the time. But so that was really fun. They are very time consuming. And with that one, they didn't give us any guidelines. It was more write down the artist that you thought should be first and then list the next four that you want to see move on. And then they would tally because they had over 50 different people judging these 15 contestants for the Netflix series. I think it was Show Me Your Voice. I think that was the name of it, or Just Sing It, or something like that. Um, and then I've also helped out with a global organization called WKT World Karaoke Tour. And they host karaoke competitions all around the globe, literally. US, it's getting pretty big. It's bigger in European countries and Japan. And I think they have 18 different countries right now competing. And they hold a big world competition last year or before COVID. It was in Vegas. And so that's a lot of fun. And that's a little bit easier because they get a set criteria that we have to go off of. And there was like a sheet with 15 different characteristics, and you would go through and circle 1 through 5, like how well you thought the singer did. And that way you didn't have to kind of memorize, okay, well, what happened 6 people ago, comparison to this person, comparison to, you know, whatever. And it's amazing. There are so many talented singers. And especially for anyone who wants to get started in music, in any kind of performance aspect, whether it's vocally or guitar or karaoke is a great way to do it because you're forced to get out of your comfort zone and be in front of people. And that's kind of like the first baby step with any kind of performance.
So those of you guys who know, who have seen my pictures, that's actually where I got my pictures done with this prop I used, and that's actually where Brandy and I met, was world karaoke competitions. And so, so this is the guitar. It's the Ed Sheeran Martin, you guys. But so, anyways, so that's kind of where I did that, you guys, and how Brandy and I met. And I'll never forget the first time I met you. It was just super. It was super awesome. We talked about the performance that I did, and of course this was after the whole thing was over and
Very
judges were done, and yeah, they already tallied everything up. And I just remember our whole conversation. You were like, "Man, you're just like you have this and that, and you know what you're doing," and then one of the things that stood out was you're like, "Yeah, I just fly in and do different things and help support people, and this is what I plan on doing in the future." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then we just talked more about that, and I don't know, it was just super awesome. I just always remember and that helped me actually move forward into the trajectory I am today. So you were kind of like the head of the start of what I do today. And this series is part of why. Because one of the things that you told me is have no fear. That is what you told me.
Yep.
Those are the words that you used. And so I took that and ran with it. And I've never been the same since. So I do appreciate that. Don't know if you remember that, but I definitely do. So, um, yeah, one of my favorite memories I'll always remember. And so, yeah, that is some of the things that we have. Oh, we have one more question that someone just texted me, and they want to know what does the future look in your opinion look like for you? They say they know it could change, and what does it look like as well? You wanting to help fans with?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing with music that is the constant is change. There's always going to be change. As far as my future, I'm just going to keep trying to push forward. It might mean that I have to, leave the beautiful state of Washington and relocate down to LA, depending on requirements for what I've been working on. Or it might mean that I stay here and I find um, a local record company that might help. But as far as with fans, I really just want to do whatever I can to kind of support and give back. Kind of like you said, I saw talent. I mean, you performed and it was like, it was not something that was kind of like, maybe. It's like, wow, that guy can sing. Um, and so, I mean, helping people find that and help them to pursue and move forward with that, that makes me so happy because even if I never get to a level where I might necessarily want to be at, if I see someone else get there, then that's it. I've had my win. So, anything I can do to help and give back, that is the one reason I do try to actually push forward more on a professional level is if I can get to the point where I can have any kind of influence, I really do want to be able to give back to the community and just help all those people that helped me get to where I was and supported me when I wasn't necessarily at my top game or at my best. So I mean, that's kind of my vision moving forward anyway. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what if you have to go like I know like California, Arizona, Colorado, they're kind of like the main hubs for especially your type of music and what you do. So what exactly does that look like for you? I know you mentioned it just a little bit just now, but more in depth, like what if you have to go to one of those other places, or even a place that's unknown, like maybe like Mexico, or maybe New Mexico, because I know that there are artists who do get found, like Neo in Arkansas. You have also Milton Patton from Arkansas as well. And I can mention so many other artists in so many different other states. It's not that they got lucky. It's that they continued to move forward and pressed forward and kept going. And some of them were average and some of them weren't. Milton Patton obviously is not, and same to the other ones I mentioned. But just wondering, what does that look like for you, and how does that influence what you do, and also how does that take away and give um, the trajectory and the things to move forward?
Um, oh wow. Relocation is a really big thing. Um, Especially myself. For those that don't know, I am a mom. I have young children. So I always have to kind of put them into the picture and think, okay, how is this going to affect them as well? Am I going to be able to still provide for them the same way or give them the same opportunities? Um, if it was an opportunity that seemed like it was really going to be that chance, then we would have a discussion about it. I always want to keep them in the loop. They're my biggest supporters, so that's really important to me. With a move like to Los Angeles, it would be uprooting quite a bit, but it's also the realization that if you have a large enough record company or production company that wants to work with you, they want you there. They want to be able to promote you in the places they have and put you in their studio and work with their writers. And so it's just really a leap of faith you have to be willing to take. Um, it is, yeah. I mean, I had an offer once for Nashville, but kind of like you had discussed, once I looked at the contract more clearly, they wanted me to switch to country and they wanted to rebrand me. And I have nothing against country music. I'm just not a country singer. So once I discovered that, it was a big no. We're gonna keep looking.
Yeah.
But I mean, more power to the people that can do that. But I just, at this point in my life, I don't want to rebrand and just change my style completely. I like who I am and I want to keep growing off of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, always be you. Don't stop. So the other thing that someone just asked me on text here is, what what does it look like traveling for you? Do you plan maybe homeschooling, or doing online school? Because I know they have that now where you can video, and I don't believe that'll ever stop, and continue to um, like go take an RV and just travel and do music. And a lot of times, and what this person says too is a lot of times that they see that it's good for the kids because now they get to you be in the trajectory or the calling that they have, and they're like, oh, I can go for it. Oh, my mom can do it. Oh, well, I should be able, I can do this. And I know that you embrace that with your kids. You want them to do what they want to do. So what does that look like for you, and would you do that?
Um, Again, it would have to be a very unique situation for me to uproot them. There are positives and there are negatives to that.
Hmm.
Homeschooling definitely makes it a lot easier. Traditionally, prior to COVID, the homeschooling option was not as easily accessible. So you would have had to have private tutors that would travel around with you to help with their work. So now that is a lot easier. So that makes it, definitely a good thing. But I mean, getting the exposure to all the different cultures and the different types of people and places, and I mean, it would be huge for them. So if that was something that we had a clear understanding on, then yeah, I would definitely take them on tour and let them see the world, because then they would have a much broader understanding and an appreciation of not only what they've had, but what others have, and maybe other ways that they can extend themselves to help others.
Nice. Yeah, that totally makes sense because there's always pros and cons for everything, even in music.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the other thing is, would you ever um, have your merchandise collabed with somebody? So, like for an example, if someone were to say, okay, there's, a band called, I don't know if there is one, but called the band, and they're like, hey, can we put your like album cover right here and put your name underneath it to support you?
I'd
People
say
go buy it.
if you can get permission from the person who did my artwork, go for it. Have fun. Um, it's kind of like that saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So I would always be happy to let them use whatever. And in general, I try to help other bands when I can. So the music community itself is really tight knit, and we all do try to support each other. So I think that would probably be the same answer, no matter kind of who you asked. In the music community, if they're really serious about it and they've been there for a while, they're going to say, yeah, if it's going to help another person try to do what they're doing, we know how hard it is. We're going to do it for them.
Nice. So, some of the other things is, what does it look like for an ending step for you? Is this something you want to do for the rest of your life, um, until you can't no more, or do you plan on just doing this for soup so as long as you can, and then be like, all right, I'm retired now and chill and do some shows here and there? What does it look like? It doesn't mean it won't change, but
I'm going to give it the good college try. And I'll ride it out as far as I can. Um, but philanthropy is something that's always been really important to me. I used to volunteer and help out with the children's side for the Arthritis Foundation. and that's always going to be something near and dear to me. One of my sisters also has MS, so that was another organization that I tried to support. So I think if the music aspect ever fell through, I would probably go back to working on the philanthropy side of things and seeing what I could do to help with charitable organizations in the various causes that I want to support.
Nice. The other question someone may ask you is your music always going to be clean?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's good. So one of the things that I really like about bands who can, artists or singer songwriters that do, or groups that do have that, is you're able to play at you're able to be sold at Walmart, because guys, you know that you can't be able to be sold at Walmart if you're explicit. Even Green Day, if you go buy their album, guess what? It is not going to be explicit. Now, the thing about that, yes, I don't personally like it, but where it bleeps it out still, or it doesn't say the word, even though you can tell what it is.
Hmm.
Walmart's tries really hard, from what I've seen and albums I've picked up when I was younger, and even just noticing my friends picking up albums from there because they wanted a cleaner version for their kids. Is that it's they really try not to do that. Green Day being so popular, they went ahead and said okay too. But so I just noticed that about them, and I think that's really awesome that they do that. Personally opinionated, and so yeah, so that's good. So you're able to be pretty much purchased and played and put in any place.
Yep.
So
It
that's
has
awesome.
its advantages. So I get like in-store plays on various radio stations. Like my daughter was in Best Buy one day and one of my songs came on. And if you have explicit lyrics, one, that doesn't help. And two, again, I want to put good back into the world. And I don't think the world needs that kind of negativity. So my goal is to try and just always stay um, on the bright side of things, so to speak, with lyrics and with content. So
Nice. So what made you um, do music? Like, what was the biggest influence for you, or who was the biggest influence for you? Like, I know in my life, some of it was Stellar Cart, Hawk Nelson, things like that. Their old band, Hawk Nelson, not the new singer, with Jason Dunn. But what does that? And there's other artists, but what does that look like for you?
oh wow. So I originally started learning music actually with R&B and Motown. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and myself and another now vocalist, Anthony Cavada, used to sneak out, and we there was a small group that used to perform not far. We just kind of like practice together, and we used to sneak out and listen to them. And at one point, they were actually kind enough to start teaching us. So that was my first real exposure to it and trying to learn how to sing. Later, as I got a little bit older, my father was a frontman for a band, so I kind of got to see that. And he pulled me up on stage one night, and that's when I knew I was hooked. I wanted to be up there. I wanted to be singing and have people, make people smile. That was the one thing I noticed more than anything, even at that age, was when I got up there, everyone started beaming. And it's probably because I was a little 7-year old who snuck in this place and was sitting on a stage. But um, it was the best feeling in the world. Musical influence, style wise, I have had multiple. Uh, I hate to say it, but Disney kind of influenced it at first. Um, the whole Disney princesses, because what little girl doesn't want to be a Disney princess? As I got older, though, I really appreciated some of the more mature artists. Aretha Franklin is one of the all-time favorites for me, and is someone I tried to uh, mimic my style after a bit. Um, also, but again, it's across the board. I love Pink, Alicia Keys. Um, I used to listen to Paula Abdul. I'm going to age myself, but everyone had a different aspect and a different way of approaching music, which really caught my interest. So I used to listen to all the different types of music to see what it was they had that was special, to see what I could pull out of it that I might like and try to use. Which is also why a lot of my music tends to be very eclectic, even though it's more of the pop rock genre. Sometimes there's undertones of R&B, or sometimes there's undertones of a little bit of country. It it's just there's so many benefits to the different styles that I can't help but pull like a little bit from here, a little bit from there, because it's just you want to use all of it. It's like being at a salad bar and not trying everything that looked good. You kind of feel bad if you miss out. So
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, for me, it's kind of like the same way. So I get like Midnight Star was kind of something I listened to, or even just all the way from Michael Jackson to, so Neo to, I mean, the whole list goes on. So no, I mean, so I get it, we gotta, continue in what we're called to do. And so I know the first time for me, personally, when I sang, it was at a karaoke place, and where I grew up, and it's like I just remember I'm up there shaking. I'm like, I can't do this. I didn't even drink. I didn't have a drink. I had soda, so I'm up there like freaking out and like, nah. I put the mic down, and said, I'm done with this. And I walked off, and I continued to do it. And as I continued to do it, um, it's something for me. And then I did the world karaoke competition, and then I did a tour, and then I make it to state every single time. And I knew when I make it to state, I was like, wow, I can do this. And I mean, like, to me, I sucked, and I still think I did back then, like compared to where I'm at now. But I mean, it's just awesome to see how where I came from and how I've succeeded, and it's awesome to see where you're taking off. And this reminds me of those moments, from where your first, uh, single on iTunes was, from when I first heard about you, to all the way up to now. You've definitely grown. You've definitely have the maturity behind on what you want and your vision and your dream and your mind. Your eyes tell the story, because when you look at a person's eyes, you can really see what they're about when they're singing. You can really see that they really care, or, oh, I've done this song a million times, or, oh, I got to do this again. I'm not saying we won't have those moments, but you can still tell in their eyes that this is what you most of the time, this is what you want. This is where they're at. This is where they've longed for. This is what they've called for. This
it's
is
their
what they're craving. Yeah. So I think that's one of the things I do really, when you have posted lives and stuff you've done, really do appreciate about you, is that you really go far after what you do. You can tell that you enjoy it, you love it. And the thing about it too is your music isn't all tempoed and vocaled, like T-Pain. And I really love that. Even though we all know T-Pain can sing now, okay, so it wasn't just him been doing that. He's one of the first people to succeed at auto tuning, okay. But I mean, I think that's just amazing that, you know, you were able to have that and ability to make it more authentic, like the albums or like your EPs or your singles. And that really means a lot to me, being an artist and being a DJ and a speaker. So that really, speaks volumes in the music world. Someone that has talent like you that can do that, not just, oh, let me make an album and they're really good, and then you go see them live and you're like, what?
what happened.
Yeah, like, I mean, every once in a while you'll have that. I mean, including myself, everyone does. You might be a little under the weather or whatever, but you still got to perform. It's part of your contract, you guys. One thing, you got fans don't realize, it's just part of the contract. I want to make that very clear. It's part of the contract that we have, and that we have to do that. I'm not contracted at the moment. Don't ever plan on really being contracted unless just the right deal comes along, because I want to be able to do, unbelievably unthinkable things, and to help this world, and to help billions and billions and billions of people. And but that's not what it's about for me. It's about helping that one person, and I know that is for you too, Brandy. And that is also something else I've admired about you and really noticed, through your actions speak louder than words. And so I just want to commend you on that, and I just want to commend you on everything and I commend you on being you and how you don't stop, realizing that you are amazing,
Thank
and
you.
because you are you. And so I really, just really appreciate you. And even not only just that, but the friendship that we've grown to have, even though we're far away.
Yep.
Um, didn't matter how many millions of miles or thousands, whatever. I just really appreciate who you've become, the things you shared with me, and so I just want to say that I'm proud of you, and that you proud of everything that you do and everything that you're going to do. And I declare and believe over your life that you're going to succeed and you're going to make it. And I'm also very proud of you putting your kids first and being a mom. Of course, besides God in Jesus' name, you do that, but you're also a mom. And so I just really appreciate that about you, and and never giving up. And
Thank
so you guys, this was Brandy, and not Taylorist, not Last Should Be First Helping Hand or God Speakers, okay, but it's Brandy. And you guys, don't forget to go support her and everything that she does. She'll be posting down below when tour dates are, all that. You guys, I'll be pinning them up. She'll be doing that shortly after this. But guys, that was Brandy, and eventually these will be in an actual podcast, and raw and authentic the way we interviewing right now. So you guys we'll be able to find that eventually on iTunes, and you can buy it. And each thing that you buy, I promise I will support Nettie, Alexandria First Quest, Brandy, and so Paul W. Also, they will be on. So when you see them on iTunes, you buy it. It comes back to me that you guys bought it. Uh, they get a percentage of which one you buy. So I do want to mention that, you guys. And each shirt you buy as well, they will get a percentage as well. So this one's Alexandria Frisquez's. She's more flashy all the time, so I made hers very, very flashy and with security on the back, of course. So that way, whenever she comes on, I can make sure she gets there, gets it on, and it's just going to be amazing, you guys. The concert's more to come. That's a much later down thing down the line. Um, but you guys, we're just striving to do what we're called to do. Don't give up. Be you. Be who you're made to be. And we will see you guys next time. Don't forget to support Brandy. This is Taylor. This is Brandy. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Thanks. Bye.